So the pelvis is actually going to rank its own video, even though technically it is a part of the lower limb. So the pelvis, or specifically the os coxa, is what we're looking at, because while this is the whole pelvis, remember that these guys back here, these are vertebrae. So this is the sacrum or sacral vertebrae. So when we're looking at the pelvis, we're looking at this whole piece, but the os coxa is just going to be this bone here, or the hip bone. Now, this is what it looks like individually. So one os coxae looks like this. It's going to wrap around the side of the body here, and then this is going to be the front. So the lateral portion and then the anterior portion. Now, this bone itself is actually 3 bones that fuse together. So here is a child's pelvis, and again, here's those sacral vertebrae, and you can see how they're separate. But you can see very easily here how we have our 2 os coxae, but how they hook together. So we have 3 pieces. This bottom piece here, that's the part that you sit on, that's called the ischium. The part that connects in the front, connects to the other side, that's going to be the pubis. And then this larger piece back here, that's the ilium. So when you put your hands on your hips, you're putting your hands on the ilium. That's this ridge right here that you're feeling. So 3 parts, or 3 bones individually, the ilium, the ischium, and the pubis, and they're going to hook together across this feature here called the acetabulum. That's your actual hip socket. So if I move over to the adult bone right here, we've got the same thing. Here's our pubis, it's that front piece. Here's the ischium, that bottom piece, and then the ilium, which is going to be that top piece where you put your hands on your hips. So in anatomical position, it's going to sit like this. Here's that front and center. Okay. Now, in terms of the features, the first one is that acetabulum. That's that hip socket. Acetabulum, the term itself, means little vinegar cup. So it always reminds me of a cup, so that can sometimes help. Then on the ischium, we have this roughened surface right here on the bottom. That's where some of your gluteal muscles attach, as well as some of your leg muscles. That's called the ischial tuberosity, so it's that roughened region. The pubic symphysis is the front and center. That's where the right pubis attaches to the left pubis in the front. So pubic symphysis, and that's a feature we'll actually use for identifying age in individuals, so pretty important one to know. Ischiopubic ramus. So here's our ischium, here's our pubis. So ischiopubic ramus, that's that ridge between the ischium and the pubis. We use that area for sex determination. So a lot of things in this pelvis that we're going to use when it comes to identifying individuals. The obturator foramen is this big hole right here, again also used for sex estimation. The iliac crest is this ridge of bone at the top. As I said a moment ago, when you put your hands on your hips, you're putting your hands right here on that iliac crest, and that's a feature that we use for juvenile age estimation. The auricular surface is this kind of eardrop or ear-shaped area right here on the ilium. That's where the os coxa is going to connect to the sacrum. So right here, that auricular surface is actually hidden because it's between the sacrum and the ilium right here. So you can see where that connection is, but it's actually the surface between those two is the auricular surface. The greater sciatic notch is this big notch on the side just below that auricular surface. That big notch, again, a sex estimation feature. And then the last thing for the os coxa is actually on the whole pelvis, and that's this opening right here when you look down into that opening. We call that the pelvic inlet when we're looking from the top, and the pelvic outlet when we're looking from the bottom. Same feature, it's just this big opening in the pelvis, so that's the pelvic inlet or pelvic outlet. And again, we use that for estimating sex when we're doing forensics and skeletal analysis.